So let's talk about the most important thing perhaps of anything. And it's not about hosting, and it's not about products, and it's not about anything. It's about the big M, okay? Motivation. And it's really, really important that you understand why you're doing this, what you're doing, and that you're committed to see this through. Because if you're not, then none of this matters. See, the biggest problem that people have in getting rolling online or in any business is not the tech stuff or anything else, okay? So you can take the tech and go, man, don't even worry about that stuff. That's not important. It's not the amount that you know. It's not, hey, I've studied everything, I've learned everything, I've put all this cool stuff together. It's not anything to do with what you do or don't know. It's very, very simple. It's simply you have to start. Because if you don't start, absolutely nothing happens, all right? So it's really important that you get started. All right, what's our favorite thing from the Nike commercial? Like everybody knows this, right? Just do it. That's all you need. That's the entire thing. And if you just do it, then good things are going to happen. If you don't just do it, then nothing's going to happen. And so what's really vital is that you get yourself into the game from the beginning. Now, a lot of that is, first of all, going to be deciding that you're serious about this and making a very big commitment to yourself, somebody, whoever it is that you need to follow through with. But a lot of this comes down to creating goals, okay? And goal setting is really important. You may have heard other people talk about this, but it's vital that you do this. And when you set a goal, if you want to achieve that goal, it's really important that you create goals that are measurable. So you're going to have people say, well, my goal is I want to be rich. And see, I want to be rich, that's not a definable thing because we don't know what that means. It doesn't work, okay? So we want to have a goal that's more like this. By X date, I will have $10,000 per month income. See, this is a definable, measurable goal. Now, what happens is that your brain is like a heat-seeking missile. And so whatever you shoot your brain, your subconscious, and your entire being at, you're going to hit. So if your goal is to make money, and then you're like a heat-seeking missile going right at that money. But if your goal is to fool around and goof off and play games, guess what? You're going to end up doing that. If you don't actually have a goal, then you're not going to hit it because there's nothing to aim for. And so having a very specific, definable series of goals allows you to hit those goals. And so when you make goals, you want to have a whole series of them. Now, so we talked about that, just breaking this down into how much I want to have as a monthly income or whatever. So whatever it is you want to have, if you want to have a Ferrari, then you want to have a Ferrari by a certain date. That's the way in which you've got to do it. If you want to do any kind of thing that's something that's other than a Ferrari, then whatever you might want to have, that's what you've got to put down. So you're going to have a series of both long-term goals and you're going to have shorter-term goals. Now, the important thing with long-term is that this is usually going to be the big stuff that you want to have. Maybe you want to have a big new car, a big new house, big new something, big income. But you can't get there in like one big jump. That's another thing that people get messed up on. See, they want to jump from here to being a millionaire, like from $100,000 in debt to being a millionaire overnight. Doesn't work. Doesn't ever happen unless you get lucky and hit the lottery. Hit the lottery, sweet stuff. But otherwise, man, you are absolutely stuck. And so what you want to do if you want to get to the big goals is have short-term goals. And the purpose of a short-term goal is to get the incremental steps to the big goal. So let's say your goal is, let's just come back, since this is the 10K Club video, to the 10K a month, right? So you want to get 10K a month coming in. Well, if you have 0 from a business now, before you get to 10, you got to get to something. This is you probably think about this. What'd you do? First, you couldn't crawl at all as a baby. Then you had to learn to crawl. Then you had to learn to walk. And so you got to work in steps. So your short-term goal might be, okay, look, in 30 days, I'm going to have 1K a month. And, in 60 days, I'm going to have 3K a month. And in 90 days, hey, then I'm going to have 5K a month, and so on. However you want to do it, depending upon the time and energy and resources and whatever you want to put in this business. You can do as fast as you want. There's no limit to how much you make, but you got to hit the smaller numbers before you hit the bigger numbers, okay? It's not going to work trying to go from 0 to $1 million overnight, because it just doesn't happen that way. And so it's very important that you set the big goals, whatever they are, but you got to do the short-term things to accomplish those. Now, once you set up those goals, what's really important is that you set up a series of steps. And a lot of times, these are what we're going to call an action plan. And so an action plan is what you're going to do to get to those goals. So that's a lot of what we're going to be talking about in this and future videos in the 10K Club is your action plan. What should you be doing? What are things that will get you going, get you started, making money, doing things? And so that's what we're talking about. But again, this action plan is just a plan unless you follow through. But if there is a plan, then there's a great chance that you're going to follow through and you're going to really make things happen if you go and do that. Now, some of the things that are going to help you work on this. One thing is a daily commitment. Okay, because you have to do stuff. I know this sounds really complicated coming from a guy that used to practice law, but you just got to do something every single day. We've all heard this story of a penny doubled every day. And if you had a choice between doubling a penny every day for a month and $1 million, you know that at the end of 30 days, the penny doubled is way more than $1 million. But here's the thing. When you start out, it doesn't feel like that. And so if you were to do something every day for 30 days, at the beginning, it won't feel like you're doing much. You might not see progress. But look at what happens with that penny. That penny doesn't get very far. Because it's kind of funny, in fact, if you look at this, because, day one, it's 1 cent. And then day two, it's 2 cents, and then it's 4 cents, and then it's 8 cents. It's a good thing I'm good at math. 16 cents, 32 cents, right? So this is day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6. Day 7, hey, you're really cooking. You are now worth 64 cents. It's not impressive at all. In fact, if you didn't know that this is going to turn out better, you could be really depressed by now. What happens if we go through another week, right? Now we end up with $1.28 and then $2.56, and we're just going to round from here. Then you go to $5 and $10 and $20 and $40 and $80 at the end of 14 days. And it still is not impressive. But see, by doing this, by taking action every day, you gain a lot of momentum. Now, I'm certainly not going to tell you in 30 days you're going to have $1 million. But see, your business will gain momentum and it will grow like this if you are following through the same way. I mean, we know the happy story of the penny. We're going to know your happy story when you take action and make these things occur. So very important that you follow through and take action with all this stuff. Things that will derail you are things like not actually doing stuff every day. If you don't do stuff every day, then you're not going to get into the good habit of getting stuff done, and then you're going to wonder a week later why your business didn't work, or you got distracted because you're out surfing and playing on the web and that didn't work. And so you've got to stay focused on what you're doing. Another thing that's really important is going to be friends and family, because who you hang out with is going to determine much about the level of success or not success that you're going to have. See, if you hang out with people who don't have any money, don't have good lives, hate their lives, they drink and do drugs all the time, guess what? You're going to be like the same person. You heard the story, birds of a feather flock together. Well, they do. So there have been actually studies that say that you become the average of the 4 to 5 people you hang out with the most. So if you hang out with people with a poor attitude, you have a poor attitude. If you hang out with people with no money, and you know what? You have no money. You hang out with people that are big and fat, guess what? Chances are you could start out skinny, they'll get you to be big and fat. This is what happens. You become like these people. Now, what if we do the opposite? What if we hang around with people who don't have poor attitudes and everything else? What if we hang around with people who are the kind of people who are, great attitude. We hang out with people who have money. We hang out with people who own their own business or are in charge of a larger business because we can learn from them and we can get associated with them. A good friend of mine who moved into my very high-class, multi-million-dollar neighborhood here in the Sugarloaf Country Club. It's really funny because he at one point said to me when he used to live in the other neighborhood, he's like, man, you know, I tell my neighbors like how good I'm doing, and they just are like, hey, can we have a job? So that's when he said, I said, you're living in the wrong neighborhood, man. You can't be hanging out with people that want to go to work for you, because then you're going to end up like getting sucked down to their level. You want to get sucked up to a higher level. You want to hang out with people that are doing a lot of stuff, have a lot of money, very successful. This is the kind of people you want to hang out with. You want to hang out with people that you know have a healthy lifestyle. I mean, it doesn't mean you have to hang out with fitness fanatics, and I'm certainly not a fitness fanatic. If you're looking at me now, you definitely know that. But if you hang out with people that are like this, then you're going to end up being like this. And so you have to go seek them out and find them. It doesn't mean that you can immediately go and find some really rich guy to hang out with, and that you know a whole bunch of people are going to be definitely interested in tracking you down or anything else. But by taking the time to go do this will have a huge, huge effect on this. The opposite of this, and again, you know, people poor attitude and everything else. You've probably heard the phrase, if you hang out with people, you know, that are crippled, you learn to limp. That's what happens. You hang out with people that are successful people and success-oriented, you learn to succeed. And so this is going to help you a lot. You're going to have a lot of friends and family tell you're an idiot, tell you can't do this, you suck, you're never going to succeed. It's a very hard thing to overcome. But here's the thing. Somewhere in all of this, somewhere you have a dream. You have a vision of what your life can be like. You know it can be different than what you have now, and in many cases what you perceive as better than you have now. And so you have a choice. You can let someone steal that dream, or you can follow through on that dream and achieve that dream, whatever it might be for you in your particular case. And so I'm going to tell you now, just don't let them steal your dream. So this is a very important section. Some of you people probably are skipping over this or wondering why I'm going through this, but this is the foundation for the motivation for what's going to drive you and carry you through. Excitement gets us started. Commitment and discipline will carry us through those rough times, the bumps, the bruises, and let us achieve absolutely great, great things. So get yourself psyched, get yourself ready, make the commitment that you're going to do something every single day, and go make things happen for yourself.